and see 300 young African-American men stand back at me. And as I look into their eyes, I see who I once was. And as they look into my eyes, they see who they can possibly be. And their chances are limited because of the system that we are exposed to. So the BHAG that we started off at the end of 2012, we titled it In the Midst of Something Subtle. See, what I really believe is that we know that there's something wrong with the system. We know that the system is broke. We know that something has went amiss, but we don't necessarily know how to speak to it. We don't know how to actually deal with it. We don't know what direction to come at it. But it makes no sense that we would spend, and this is fact, $500 a day to detain one youth. $500 a day to detain a youth. And if that young person is there for a year, which there are individuals that's over there for 6, 7 months, 8, 9, for 15 months, 18 months, in a year's time you spent almost $200,000. Money that you could use to fund programs in the community. Your money you can use to have after-school programs. A year ago, this week, I was in Biloxi, Mississippi at the National DMC Conference. Me and another gentleman from Cook County went down to that conference, and as we walked around and introduced ourselves and people found out that we were from Cook County, it was like being a celebrity in the wrong way. They were like, you guys have the second worst DMC problem in the country next to Washington, D.C. Imagine that. We're the third largest city, but we have the worst. Our DMC issue is worse than New York City. It's worse than Los Angeles. So there's something going on. So we formed a DMC committee. And the reason I'm so proud of you, because it takes courage. A lot of people can't stand up under the weight of the pressure and the pushback that they will get. I hope that you all are here because you want to make some type of difference. See, when we started the DMC committee, we got a tremendous amount of pushback. Tremendous. I'm no longer with the county because I want to be able to speak freely, unafraid, and say what needs to happen, because it's not just about me. Dr. King said, I can't be what I ought to be until you're what you ought to be. And you can't be what you ought to be until I'm what I ought to be. And so I need to be in a position, and you all need to be in a position where you can speak truth to power. When they opened this conference down in Biloxi, Mississippi, they had a panel of superintendents from around the country. The topic was the school to prison pipeline. See, it starts when our babies are young. It starts even with their test scores. They make projections about how many prison cells they need to build in the future based on standardized testing. Because understand, there is a direct correlation between lack of education and future incarceration. In my experience, I've had the opportunity to walk with delegations from other countries that come and see facilities, not only detention center, but state facilities. One of the comments that someone from another country made about Cook County, after spending 2 days in the court system and touring the facilities, they said that they're a separate facility for the white kids because they didn't see any. We're in the midst of something subtle. See, many people say, well, it's not just race. Of course it's not race, it's class. And the goal of having DMC conversations, the goal of having a focus group, the goal of having town hall meetings is because we need to educate, we need to do a social marketing campaign, we need to make people aware that this is even an issue. I often tell the story of how I was raised by my father. And my father said, son, when I got my driver's license, he said, when you get pulled over by the police, I got to give you these instructions on how to handle that. Keep your hands on the steering wheel. When they get next to the window, use your head to motion if it's okay for you to roll the window down. And when I would tell some of my white counterparts, they said, why would they have to tell you that? Because see, there's something going on. A lot of times our young people become victims of a system that's designed to help them. When I was at the conference in Biloxi, the acting person over OJJDP at that time said that the goal of juvenile justice is that it's rare, and that is fair, and that is beneficial. So we understand that young people are going to have problems. we understand that they're going to make some mistakes. And so it's our job as juvenile justice professionals to bring them in, to get them together, and to send them back out in the community in a way which serves them and which serves the community. I think we're aiming too low. They say the tragedy of life is not in reaching your goal. The tragedy of life is having no goal to reach. It is not a calamity to die with dreams unfulfilled, but it is a calamity not to dream. It is not a disgrace to not have captured your ideal, but it is a disgrace to have no ideal to capture. It is not a disaster to not reach for the stars, but it is a disaster to have no stars to reach for.